Joy is one of those words we all know but rarely stop to define. Ask 10 people what it means, and you'll probably hear 10 different answers. Feeling happy, being satisfied, getting what you want. But psychologists and researchers point out that joy is something much deeper. It isn't just a fleeting emotion that comes and goes like the weather. Joy is more like a steady orientation toward life, a way of being that runs beneath the ups and downs of daily moods. You can see the difference when you compare joy with happiness. Happiness is great, no one's knocking it. But happiness usually describes moments of comfort, pleasure, or excitement. It comes when things line up just right. Good food, a fun event, a beautiful day. The problem is, happiness doesn't last very long. The phone battery dies, the meal is over, the holiday ends, and the glow fades. Joy doesn't work that way. Joy can stay with you even when life feels messy, even when you're sad or grieving. That's because joy is tied to meaning. It shows up when you live in line with your values, when you use your strengths in a way that feels true to you, and when you deepen your relationships with others. You can be crying at your child's graduation, torn between pride and nostalgia, and still feel joy. You can be at a funeral, grieving someone you loved, and still feel joy in the fact that they mattered so much to you. Joy is the deep current beneath the surface waves. Psychologist Pamela King, who studies joy, describes it as a virtue more than an emotion. It's cultivated through three main pathways: authenticity, relationships, and meaning. Authenticity is about showing up as yourself, not a polished version or someone else's expectations. Relationships are about investing in others and allowing yourself to be supported in return. Meaning is about aligning your life with ideals that feel morally or spiritually right to you. When these three elements come together, joy tends to follow. That distinction matters because we live in a culture that often confuses joy with consumption. Ads and social media feeds tell us joy is found in buying the next thing, upgrading, staying comfortable, and avoiding anything painful. But research shows this doesn't hold up. Psychologists call that the hedonic model, the idea that life satisfaction comes from maximizing pleasure and minimizing pain. It makes sense on paper, but the effect is short-lived. You get a dopamine rush from the new gadget, and within days or weeks, it fades. Joy belongs to a different model, the eudaimonic one. Instead of chasing quick highs, this model is about fulfillment. It asks questions like, am I growing as a person? Am I contributing to something larger than myself? Am I living in alignment with what I believe is right? Joy doesn't require constant comfort. In fact, it often grows stronger when we face challenges with integrity. That's why people sometimes describe joy after overcoming hardship or even in the middle of sorrow, because the experience connects deeply with what they value. Science backs this up. Joy isn't just a vague feeling. It shows up in the body and brain. A few chemicals are central. Serotonin helps regulate your mood and sense of stability. Dopamine fuels motivation and reward, that feeling of progress and possibility. Oxytocin strengthens bonding and trust, showing up in hugs, acts of care, or moments of connection. Endorphins relieve stress and produce that sense of lightness you get after exercise or laughter. But here's the thing. You don't just wait around for these chemicals to hit. Daily choices influence them. Exercise and movement boost serotonin and endorphins. Sleep resets brain chemistry and makes joy more accessible the next day. Spending time with friends or loved ones raises oxytocin. Achieving goals triggers dopamine. Even mindfulness and gratitude practices are linked to shifts in serotonin and other systems that stabilize mood. Joy isn't an accident, it's something we can actively cultivate. One of the clearest frameworks for how to do this comes from Martin Seligman, a founder of positive psychology. His PERMA model explains well-being as a mix of 5 ingredients: positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishments. Joy touches every one of these. Positive emotions are obvious. Joy is part of that. Engagement is about flow. Those times you lose yourself in something challenging but rewarding, which often produces joy. Relationships? Joy deepens when shared. Meaning gives joy its foundation. And accomplishments bring that spark of satisfaction that can blossom into joy when they connect with our values. The idea of flow, developed by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, is especially connected to joy. Flow happens when you're fully absorbed in something you care about. You're not overthinking, not checking the clock, not worrying about whether you're happy. You're just present, challenged, and engaged. It could be painting, playing music, solving a tough problem, or even rock climbing. Flow produces joy not because it's always fun, in the shallow sense, but because it connects effort with meaning. Lifestyle choices play a huge role too. Research shows regular exercise doesn't just improve your physical health, it boosts resilience and mood, making joy more likely. Sleep is another big one. During sleep, the brain resets, clears out stress chemicals, and helps us process emotional experiences. Nutrition also affects mood more than most people realize, especially through the gut microbiome, which is linked to serotonin production. And perhaps the most consistent predictor of joy across studies is social connection. The Harvard study of adult development, which has been running for over 80 years, found that strong relationships are the single best predictor of a joyful, healthy life. This tells us something important. Joy isn't a private project. It grows in community. Helping others, practicing kindness, and being open to receiving kindness in return all boost joy. Even small acts, giving someone a compliment, volunteering an hour of your time, or just really listening can have measurable effects on mood and well-being. That's because joy isn't only about self-satisfaction, it's about resonance. It's about your life vibrating in tune with the lives of others. Mindfulness also shows up here. It doesn't have to mean long meditation sessions on a cushion. Mindfulness is simply paying attention to your breath, your surroundings, the people in front of you. When you're mindful, you notice the small joys you might otherwise miss, the warmth of sunlight, the taste of food, the sound of laughter. Neuroscience shows mindfulness lowers stress hormones and shifts brain activity toward regions linked to positive emotions. Over time, this creates more space for joy to arise. So if we step back, what's the bigger picture? Joy is not the same as happiness. Happiness is about how we feel in the moment, and it's valuable, but temporary. Joy is about how we live, and it endures even when things aren't perfect. It shows up when we're authentic, when we're connected, and when we're living with meaning. It's supported by our biology, but shaped by our choices. And it grows stronger the more we share it with others. The takeaway is simple but powerful. Joy is something we cultivate. It's not about avoiding pain or stacking up pleasures. It's about aligning our lives with what matters most and practicing habits that support the brain and body along the way. When we do that, joy becomes less of a rare spark and more of a steady flame, something that carries us through both the bright days and the hard ones. And that's the gift of joy.